The market was full of noise. Traders shouted. Machines roared. The air smelled of smoke and metal. In the middle of this busy alien market, a young alien girl sat quietly in a cage. Her skin was light blue, and her silver eyes stared at the ground. Chains held her wrists and ankles. She did not cry. She did not scream. She was silent. Her stepfather, a tall alien with rough gray skin, stood beside the cage. He laughed loudly, telling the crowd, "This girl is useless. She does not speak. She does not work. She is a curse on me." People came to see the girl. They poked the bars of the cage. They tried to make her speak. They called her Mute Girl. But the girl did not look up. She did not blink. She did not make a sound. A human named Mark walked through the market. He was a mechanic living alone on a mining moon. He had come to buy spare parts, but when he saw the girl in the cage, he stopped. Mark saw her eyes. They were empty, but inside them, he saw pain. It was a pain he knew because he was alone too. How much for her? Mark asked. The stepfather laughed. "You want this worthless mute? Give me some credits, and she is yours. She eats too much and speaks nothing." Mark paid the credits. The stepfather threw the keys at him and spat on the ground. "Take this curse away," he said. Mark opened the cage slowly. The girl looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were large, full of something Mark could not understand. Fear, maybe. Or hope. "It's okay," Mark said softly. "You're free now." But the girl did not move. She looked at the chains on her hands and feet. Mark knelt down and unlocked them one by one. The metal fell on the ground with a loud clank. She stood up, weak and shaking. She followed Mark quietly, her bare feet touching the dusty road as they left the market. She did not look back at her stepfather, who was already laughing with other traders. They walked to Mark's small ship, and he helped her climb inside. The girl sat in the corner, hugging her knees. She looked around at the tools, wires, and spare parts lying everywhere. Mark gave her a warm blanket and a piece of bread. She took the bread, holding it gently, but did not eat. "My name is Mark," he said, trying to smile. "You're safe here." The girl looked at him but did not speak. She just nodded slowly. They flew to the mining moon, where Mark lived alone, in a small metal home. Robots worked in the mines, and Mark fixed them when they broke. It was a lonely place, quiet and cold. Mark made a small bed for the girl in a corner of his home. She lay there, holding the blanket close. At night, Mark heard her crying softly, but she made no sound with her mouth. Tears rolled down her cheeks, and she wiped them away quickly. The next day, Mark tried to talk to her again. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She nodded. He gave her food, and this time she ate slowly, looking at him with careful eyes. Days passed. The girl helped Mark by handing him tools while he fixed machines. She was silent, but quick to understand what he needed. She cleaned the small home and learned how to boil water for tea. She moved like a ghost, quiet and careful, as if afraid of making noise. At night, she would sit near the window, looking up at the stars. Her silver eyes would shine under the cold light of the moons. Mark would see her lips move sometimes, but no sound came out. One night, Mark woke up to a strange light outside. It was blue and soft, like a wave moving across the sky. He saw the girl standing near the window, her hand pressed against the glass, tears falling down her face. "What is it?" Mark asked, walking closer. The girl turned around. Her lips moved again, but this time a small sound came out. Mark stopped. It was the first sound he had heard from her. The girl opened her mouth and spoke, her voice soft and broken. "They are coming." Mark felt a chill run down his spine. "Who is coming?" he asked. The girl shook her head, her eyes wide with fear. "They are coming," she said again, louder this time, her voice clear. Mark looked out the window at the stars. He saw nothing, but the fear in the girl's eyes was real. For the first time, The silent girl in chains had spoken, and Mark knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The small mining moon was quiet, but Mark could not sleep. He kept hearing her words in his mind. They are coming. The silent girl, who never spoke before, now sat in the corner, holding her knees, her silver eyes wide with fear. Her blue skin looked pale under the moonlight shining through the window. Mark sat on the floor near her. Who is coming? He asked softly. She shook her head, hugging herself tighter. Bad people, she whispered. Her voice was soft, like the wind, as if she was scared to let the words out. Mark wanted to protect her, but he did not know what she meant. He looked outside at the dark sky. Stars blinked, cold and distant, but he saw nothing strange. He brought her a cup of warm tea. She took it with shaking hands. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, he saw deep pain inside them, like she was hiding a storm. Please, Mark said. Tell me what you see. The girl closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Then, she placed the cup down, stood up slowly, and walked to the window. She raised her hand, pointing at the stars. They are there, she whispered. Black ships. They hide in the dark. Mark looked, but he could see nothing. The girl turned to him, her eyes glowing with a faint silver light. I can see them, she said. They are looking for me. Mark felt a shiver crawl up his neck. Why are they looking for you? The girl's lips trembled. Because of this. She pulled something from her hair, a small crystal, clear and shining softly with blue light. Mark knelt down to see it closely. It was small, like a bead, but it felt heavy in the air, like it was more than just a crystal. What is it? Mark asked. The girl held it tightly in her fist. Memory key, she whispered. It holds secrets. My stepfather. He wanted it. He hurt me to get it, but I hid it. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them quickly. Mark's chest tightened. He wanted to tell her she was safe now, but he saw the fear in her eyes, and he knew it was not over. What secrets? He asked. The girl looked at him, her eyes suddenly calm, as if she was ready to tell him everything. Secrets of war. She said, secrets of a weapon that can wake up and destroy worlds. They want it. They want me because I am the key. Mark stood up, pacing in the small room. His hands shook slightly. And they will come here for you? The girl nodded. Mark took a deep breath. Then we need to hide you. The girl touched the window, looking at the stars again. No place to hide, she whispered. They can smell the crystal. They can feel me. Mark looked around, thinking quickly. His workshop had hiding spaces. Old mining shafts ran under the house. Maybe they could hide there if the black ships came. Suddenly, the girl's body stiffened. Her eyes glowed brighter, and she fell to her knees. Mark rushed to her. What's wrong? She looked up, tears rolling down her face. They are here, she whispered. I can feel them. Mark helped her stand. Listen to me, he said, his voice firm. I will protect you. She shook her head. No, they will kill you. Mark held her shoulders gently. We will fight them together. The girl looked at him, her lips parting as if she wanted to say something. But she stayed silent. Outside, the ground shook softly. A low humming sound came from the sky. Mark ran to the window and looked up. For the first time he saw them. Dark shapes moved above the mining moon, black against the stars, like shadows eating the light. They were real. The girl stepped beside him, her small hand grabbing his arm tightly. They are coming for me, she said again, her voice clear and sad. Mark looked at the black ships and then at the girl who once was silent. Not anymore. He clenched his fists. They will have to go through me first. The girl's eyes softened, and for a moment, a small smile touched her lips. The ground shook again, stronger this time, and lights appeared on the horizon. Strange lights, blue and red. Alien ships landing. The girl whispered, they are here. Mark turned to her, his heart beating fast. fear and courage mixing inside him. "Then let's get ready," he said. Outside, the darkness was coming alive. Inside, the silent girl, who now could speak, stood beside the human who chose to protect her. They were ready to face what was coming, together. The ground shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling of Mark's small workshop as he looked outside. Red and blue lights flashed on the dark horizon. Black ships, tall and sharp like knives, were landing near the mines. The silent girl, who now could speak, stood near him, holding the glowing crystal in her small hand. Her silver eyes were fixed on the ships, but her face was calm now, like she had waited for this moment. Mark grabbed a wrench, the only weapon he had, and checked the door locks. "If they come here, we will hide in the tunnels," he said. Girl turned to him and shook her head. "No more hiding," she whispered. Mark looked at her. "We can't fight them alone." The girl opened her palm, showing him the crystal. "We are not alone," she said softly. She placed the crystal on the table, and it began to glow brighter, filling the room with blue light. Mark felt a strange warmth on his skin. The girl closed her eyes and placed her hand over the crystal dot. In a blink, the air shifted. Light spread across the walls, forming shapes and symbols. Then, an image appeared in front of them, a small star map with lines and circles Mark could not understand. "What is this?" Mark asked, stepping back. The girl opened her eyes and, for the first time, he saw strength in them. "This is the memory key," she said. "It holds the last map of my people, the last codes to awaken our ancient ships hidden in the stars." Mark stared at her. "Why you?" She took a deep breath. "Because I am the last of my mother's bloodline. My stepfather betrayed us. He sold me so they would not find this key, but he did not know I took it." Tears welled in her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. "I could not speak because the key was inside me. It locked my voice to keep me hidden, but when you took me from him, something changed." Mark felt his chest tighten. "Why did you speak to me then?" The girl looked at him, her lips trembling. "Because you were kind to me. You did not hit me. You did not shout at me. You gave me food and a warm blanket." My voice returned because I felt safe. Mark's eyes softened. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are safe here." Suddenly, the images on the wall shifted. A red light flashed within the map. The girl's eyes widened in fear. "They have found us," she whispered. Outside, the black ships moved closer. Mark could hear the engines, low and heavy, vibrating through the ground. The girl grabbed the crystal and held it close to her chest. "If they take this, they will destroy worlds. They will find the old weapons." Mark clenched his fists. "Then we won't let them take it." The girl closed her eyes, and the crystal pulsed with light again. A small holographic figure appeared, a tiny image of a ship hidden under a mountain on this mining moon. Mark stared at it. "What is that?" The girl opened her eyes. "It's an old ship. My mother hid it before she died. If I can connect the key to the ship, it will awaken and protect us." Mark looked out the window at the lights moving closer. "Can you do it?" She nodded, though fear flickered in her eyes. "Yes, but they will try to stop us." Mark grabbed a small bag, placing tools, water, and a few rations inside. "Then let's go." The girl held the crystal tightly, walking beside him as they moved out into the cold night. The ground was shaking, and lights from the black ships flashed across the sky. Searching, they ran quietly through the dust and rocks, moving toward the mountains. The cold wind blew against their faces, and the stars above watched in silence. As they reached the base of the mountain, the girl fell to her knees, holding the crystal close. The ground below them began to glow faintly, like something under the earth was waking up. Mark helped her stand. "You can do this," he said. She looked at him, her eyes shining with tears. "Thank you for helping me," Mark smiled. "You don't have to thank me. We're in this together now." She placed the crystal on the ground, and blue light spread in a circle around them. The rocks began to move, and a hidden hatch opened with a hiss. Below them, an ancient alien ship, covered in dust and stone, waited in silence. The girl looked at Mark, her fear replaced by hope. "This is our only chance," Mark nodded, taking her hand. "Then let's wake it up." They climbed down into the ship as the black ships above began to descend in the darkness. The girl who had once been silent was ready to speak for her. People and Mark, the human who had nothing, was ready to fight with her. Together, they would face the darkness coming for them. The hidden hatch closed above them, leaving only the soft blue glow from the crystal in the girl's hands. The air smelled like old metal and dust. The walls of the hidden ship were covered in alien symbols, some glowing softly as the girl walked deeper into the dark hallway. Mark followed, holding a small light. Every step echoed, reminding him how deep they were underground. The girl stopped near a door covered in strange circles. She placed the crystal against it. A soft hum filled the air, and the door opened slowly, revealing the inside of the ancient alien ship. Mark's eyes widened. The ship's walls were silver and smooth, with lights blinking like stars. In the center was a round console covered in dust. The girl walked toward it, her small hand brushing away the dirt. "Is this your mother's ship?" Mark asked softly. She nodded. "This ship was hidden to protect the memory key. My mother died protecting it." Mark felt a pain in his chest. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "She would be proud of you." The girl looked at him, tears in her silver eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. She placed the crystal in the console, and the ship came alive. Blue lights turned on around them, and the air felt warmer. The screens above showed the sky outside, where the black ships were landing near the mining town. Small dots moved across the screens, bounty hunters in dark armor stepping out, scanning the ground. "They are looking for me," the girl whispered. Mark clenched his fists. "They won't get you." Outside, in the mining town, alarms began to ring. The robots in the mines stopped working, their lights flickering as the black ships moved closer. People ran to hide in their homes, watching as strange alien soldiers stepped onto their streets. One bounty hunter lifted a scanner, and a red light moved across the ground, searching. Another raised a small device, and with a loud crack, they shut down the power in the entire mining town. The lights went out, and the night swallowed the town in darkness. The girl saw this on the screens, fear in her eyes. "They will hurt them." Mark took a deep breath. "Then we will protect them." The girl looked at the console. "This ship has weapons, but it is old. I need time to wake it up." Mark nodded. "Do it. I'll slow them down." The girl grabbed his hand, shaking her head. "You will get hurt," Mark smiled. "I'm not afraid." Outside, the bounty hunters moved toward Mark's workshop, breaking the doors and looking for the girl. They found her small blanket, the cup of tea, and her hair on the floor, confirming she had been there. The leader of the bounty hunters raised his hand, and the others began moving toward the mountain. In the ship, the girl placed her hands on the console, closing her eyes. The crystal glowed brighter, and alien symbols moved across the screens. A deep humming sound began under their feet as the ship's systems woke up for the first time in years. But outside, the ground shook as the bounty hunters' walkers approached the mountain. They carried weapons that crackled with blue energy, cutting through rocks as they searched for the hatch. Mark climbed up the tunnel with a small explosive charge he made from mining supplies. He reached the hidden hatch and saw shadows moving outside. He placed the charge near the entrance and crawled back into the tunnel. Boom. The hatch exploded, throwing rocks and dust into the air. The bounty hunters fell back, shouting in their language. Mark fired a small mining laser, forcing them to take cover. Inside the ship, the girl cried out as the lights flickered. She placed both hands on the console, focusing. "Please wake up," she whispered. The ship's systems responded, lights turning green, and a soft voice in an alien language echoed through the halls. Mark slid back down into the ship as energy. Blasts hit the rocks above him. He coughed from the dust, looking at the girl. "Are we ready?" She nodded, her eyes glowing bright silver. "Almost." Outside, the bounty hunters began using cutters to break through the rocks. Inching closer to the hidden ship. The girl took a deep breath, looking at Mark. "I need to speak to it." Mark nodded. "Then speak." She closed her eyes, and in a clear, strong voice, she spoke in her alien language. Her words echoed through the ship, touching every wall and wire. The ship responded, lights turning blue and engines rumbling under their feet. Outside, rocks began to move, and the ground cracked open as the hidden ship started to rise from the mountain. The bounty hunters stepped back, shouting as the ground split, and the ancient ship lifted into the cold night air, dust and rocks falling from its hull. Inside, the girl opened her eyes and looked at Mark. "We are ready." Mark smiled, looking out as the mining town below was lit by the rising ship. "Let's show them what we can do," he said. Above them, the black ships turned, moving toward the rising ship, ready to stop it. But the silent girl, who now spoke for her people, was ready to fight back. The ancient ship rose from the mountain, dust and rocks falling away as the engines roared to life for the first time in many years. The dark sky was filled with the glow of blue engines, cutting through the cold night above the mining town. Mark stood beside the girl inside the ship, holding onto a rail as the ground shook. Screens around them showed the black ships turning, moving toward them like shadows ready to swallow the light. The girl placed her small hands on the console, her silver eyes glowing as lines of alien symbols moved under her fingers. She was calm now, her fear replaced by a quiet strength. Mark watched her, feeling the vibration under his feet. "Can you fly it?" he asked. The girl nodded slowly. "I can feel it listening to me," she whispered. Above them, the black ships fired, sending streaks of red energy across the sky. The ancient ship's shields came alive, blue ripples covering its surface as the attack struck, shaking the ship but not breaking it. The girl closed her eyes and her voice, soft but clear, filled the room. She spoke in her language, words flowing like water, strong and calm. The ship responded, light shifting from blue to white as power surged through its engines. Mark felt the air change around them, as if the ship itself was breathing with her voice. "What are you saying to it?" Mark asked, holding on as the ship moved. She opened her eyes, looking at him. "I am telling it to remember me." Outside, the black ships circled, their engines screaming as they tried to block the ship's path. They fired again, but the girl raised her hand and the ship's shields grew brighter, blocking the attacks. On the screens, Mark saw the bounty hunters below, shouting in anger, firing at the rising ship. But their weapons were useless against the shields. The girl turned back to the console, speaking softly. "The ship is part of me. It was linked to my mother's voice. That is why I could not speak before. My voice was locked, waiting to call the ship." Mark's eyes widened. "So your voice is the key?" She nodded. "It is more than just sound. My people's ships are alive. They only listen to us when we are ready to protect, not destroy." Outside, the black ships moved in closer, preparing to board or disable the hidden ship. A siren rang inside as the enemy ships locked onto them. The girl looked at Mark, fear flickering in her eyes. "They will try to cut the engines. If they stop us here, they will take the crystal, and they will find the weapons hidden in the stars." Mark clenched his fists. "Then let's show them you're not afraid anymore." She placed her hands on the console, taking a deep breath. She closed her eyes and began to sing. It was not like any song Mark had heard. It was soft and clear, like wind moving over water, filled with a deep sadness but also with hope. The symbols on the console glowed brighter, moving with the rhythm of her song. Outside, the ancient ship's engines roared louder, and light gathered around its hull. The black ships fired again, but the attacks bounced off, The energy being absorbed into the ship, the girl opened her eyes, her voice rising as she sang, and on the screens, Mark saw the black ships slowing, their engines flickering. The ship responded to her song, sending out waves of blue light that moved like water across the sky. The waves struck the black ships, disabling their weapons and engines without destroying them. Mark's eyes widened as he watched. "You're stopping them without killing them." The girl nodded, tears in her eyes as she sang. "My mother said we should only fight to protect, not to destroy." The black ships floated in the air, powerless now, drifting like leaves in the wind. The girl's song slowed, her voice becoming softer, until it was only a whisper. The lights on the console dimmed, and the engines of the ancient ship calmed, hovering quietly in the sky above the mining town. On the screens, the bounty hunters below were running, shouting, trying to call their ships back. But their ships would not respond. The girl took a deep breath, looking at Mark. "We did it." Mark smiled, walking over and placing a hand on her shoulder. "You did it." The girl looked down at the crystal, now dark in her hand. "They will come again. They will send more ships." Mark nodded. "Then we'll be ready." She looked at him, her silver eyes filled with light. "Thank you for hearing me when no one else would." Mark smiled. "Thank you for speaking." Outside, the stars shone brightly, and the ancient ship, once hidden, now stood free, a symbol of hope in the dark sky. The silent girl had found her voice, and now the galaxy would hear her. The ancient ship floated quietly above the mining town, engines humming softly as the stars reflected on its silver hull. Inside, the girl sat near the console, her small hands resting on her knees. Her silver eyes stared at the dark crystal in her palm. Now silent after stopping the black ships, Mark watched her, leaning against the wall, breathing slowly after the chaos. Outside the windows, the black ships drifted powerless in the sky, like dark clouds frozen in place. "You did something no one else could," Mark said softly. The girl shook her head, her eyes filled with heavy thoughts. "It's not over." She lifted the crystal, and it pulsed once, weakly, like a heartbeat. Mark moved closer. "What's wrong?" The girl closed her eyes. "The crystal. It's not just a key. It's a map. It shows the locations of the hidden ships of my people." Mark frowned. "Ships like this one?" She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "Thousands of them. My people hid them long ago during the war. If the enemy gets this crystal, they will find the ships, and they will use them to destroy worlds." Mark felt a chill run through him. "Who is the enemy?" The girl opened her eyes, and for the first time, Mark saw fear and rage in them together. "My stepfather is not just a cruel man. He works for the collectors. They are an empire that takes worlds, strips them of life, and moves to the next. They want these ships because they can destroy planets or protect them." Mark clenched his jaw. "And he sold you to keep you from awakening them." The girl nodded, holding the crystal tightly. "He thought I would die silent, that I would never find my voice to wake them." Mark's eyes softened. "But you did." The girl wiped her tears, looking outside at the stars. "They will come in bigger ships now. Ships that will not stop. They will take the crystal from me, and they will kill everyone in their way." Mark stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We won't let that happen." She looked at him, her lips trembling. "How can we stop them? We are only two." Mark smiled softly. "We have the ship. We have your voice. And maybe there are others who will listen." The girl looked back at the console. She took a deep breath and placed the crystal on it again. Lights flickered, and the ship hummed, reading the crystal's data. A star map appeared, showing thousands of lights across the galaxy. Some lights blinked softly, others remained dark, hidden. "These are the ships?" Mark asked. She nodded. "Yes, some are awake, some are waiting." The map zoomed in, showing nearby systems. A few lights glowed bright blue. "These ships are near us," she said softly. "If I speak to them, they may wake up." Mark placed a hand on the console. "Then let them hear you." The girl closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Her voice rose, soft at first, then clear, singing words in her language. The ship responded, sending out waves of light across the map, moving like ripples in water. Outside, the stars seemed to shimmer as signals moved through space. The girl's song was not just sound, it was a call. On the map, a few lights blinked, brighter, then turned blue. Mark watched as the lights moved, small ships shifting in the dark of space. Waking from their long sleep, "They are answering you," Mark whispered. The girl opened her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But," she smiled, "they are listening." Suddenly, alarms sounded inside the ship. The screens shifted, showing massive dark shapes moving in space near the moon. Mark looked at the screens, his breath catching. "What are those?" The girl's face turned pale. "Collector warships." Huge ships, black and sharp, like shadows, with red eyes, moved closer, blocking the stars behind them. The girl clutched the crystal, fear returning. "They found us." Mark placed his hand over hers, steady and calm. "Then we fight." She looked at him, shaking her head. "We will die." Mark leaned closer, meeting her eyes. "We fight because it's the right thing. You woke up your people. Now let's wake up their hope." The girl took a deep breath, closing her eyes again, her voice rising into a powerful song that shook the air. Outside, the hidden ships in nearby systems began to move, answering her call. Lights in the sky turned blue as engines roared, and the darkness of space began to break with the glow of hope. The girl opened her eyes, her voice strong. "They are coming to help us." Mark smiled, watching the stars light up. "Then let's give them a reason to fight." Above the mining town, the ancient ship turned, engines roaring, facing the collector warships as they approached. The girl, who had once been silent, now lit a call across the galaxy. And the war for hope was about to begin. The sky above the mining moon was filled with light and darkness together. Collector warships, dark and heavy like shadows, moved closer, blocking the stars as they prepared to strike. Red lights blinked along their hulls, weapons charging. In front of them, the ancient silver ship hovered, engines glowing blue, shields humming softly. Inside, the girl who once could not speak now stood tall, her silver eyes reflecting the lights outside. Mark stood beside her, hands gripping the rail, watching the screens as enemy ships moved in. "Are you ready?" Mark asked, his voice steady. Girl nodded, holding the crystal in her hands. "This is why I found my voice." The ship shivered as the first wave of energy blasts hit its shields, blue ripples spreading across its hull. The screens showed the collector ships moving in, forming a circle around them. "They are trying to trap us," Mark said. The girl closed her eyes, breathing deeply. "They can trap the ship, but not my voice." She placed the crystal on the console. Lights flared, and alien symbols danced across the screens. Outside, in the darkness of space, small blue lights appeared. 1, 2, then dozens. The hidden ships that had heard her call were arriving, engines glowing softly as they faced the massive collector warships. On the screens, Mark saw old ships, different shapes and sizes, waking up, shields rising, weapons ready. The girl opened her eyes, looking at Mark. "They came." Mark smiled, hope in his eyes. "Now let's show them what your voice can do." The girl placed her hands on the console, and a soft humming filled the ship. Her lips moved as she spoke words in her language, her voice calm but strong. The ship responded, lights shifting from blue to white, power surging through its systems. Outside, the other ships aligned with them, forming a protective circle around the mining moon. The collectors fired again, red beams tearing through space, but the ancient ship's shields blocked them, light flashing with each strike. The girl raised her voice, and the ship released a wave of blue light across the battlefield. It was not a weapon that killed, but a signal that disabled the collector weapons, causing their attacks to fade in the air. The enemy ship shivered, engines flickering. "They are losing control," Mark said. The girl's voice grew louder, echoing through the ship, moving through the air like a song of hope. The ancient ships around them responded, their engines glowing brighter. Moving as one, the collectors tried to fire again, but their systems shut down, unable to fight against the call of the girl's voice. Inside the ship, tears rolled down the girl's cheeks as she sang, but her eyes were filled with light. "My mother told me our voices are our power," she said between breaths. "I understand now." The collector ships began to pull back, engines failing as the ancient ships pushed them away, moving them out of orbit and forcing them to retreat into the dark. On the mining moon below, people came out of their homes, looking up at the sky as the darkness broke. Replaced by the blue glow of the ancient ships, they saw the collector ships leaving. Defeated as the girl's song faded into the stars, inside the ship, silence returned, soft and warm. The girl opened her eyes looking at Mark. Her voice was soft now, tired but clear. "It is done." Mark walked over, kneeling beside her. "You did it." She looked down at the crystal, now dim, then back at Mark. "No, we did it." Mark smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "What is your name?" The girl hesitated, her silver eyes meeting his. A small smile touched her lips. "My name is Lyra." Mark nodded, remembering the silent girl in chains, the girl who once could not speak, now leading a fleet that saved an entire world. "Lyra," he said softly, "you are not alone anymore." She looked out at the stars, the ancient ships floating quietly, ready to protect, ready to rebuild. Lyra took a deep breath. "They will need help on other worlds. The collectors will try again." Mark nodded, standing. "Then we'll go with them." Lyra looked at him, hope in her eyes. "You would come?" Mark smiled. "Someone needs to fix their ships when they break." Lyra laughed, a sound as soft as the stars, and for the first time, it was not filled with fear. She turned back to the console, touching the crystal gently. The screens shifted, showing worlds across the galaxy waiting for help. And for the first time, Lyra's voice was heard, clear and strong. "We are coming." The stars outside shone brighter, reflecting in her silver eyes as the ancient ships moved, ready to bring hope wherever darkness tried to rule. The silent girl was silent no more, and the galaxy would never forget her voice.